A major Queensland council has fallen victim to a sophisticated AI-driven scam, with cybercriminals using artificial intelligence and social engineering to steal nearly $2 million in public funds. Joining us to discuss this and more is Dr. Karen Sutherland from the University of the Sunshine Coast. Good to have you with us. What exactly is AI social engineering and how does it work? Let's start there.
Being a Sunshine Coast local and being down the road in Coolum, Noosa is very close to where I live. And so this was quite shocking. They're using these terms because they cannot really say exactly what happened at this stage, but I'll be very interested to see. It wasn't a systems fault. It was more about psychological manipulation by those cyber criminals who were successfully trying to get this money. I can't wait to find out exactly what happened.
Yeah, why are public institutions and councils becoming major targets for these scams? It's interesting that previously it's been things like infrastructure and big banks and things like that.
Look, I think they're relying on the human error factor. Also, the fact that these councils and organisations often are quite understaffed and don't have the resources as well. They're trying to find the most vulnerable areas and most vulnerable organisations and parts of organisations to see if they can trick them into giving up money. And in this case, it was successful.
So what role does AI play in making these scams more convincing? You and I have talked about the Sora AI, deep fake looking stuff, the text sort of thing where they can get the language correct nowadays. Things are getting out of hand quite quickly.
It's just becoming much more difficult to tell what is real and what is not real and what is AI generated, which is very scary. So it can be deep fakes in terms of video technology. It can be cloning people's voices and putting it over the phone. Email addresses are being hijacked, and so it looks like it's actually coming from a legitimate address and it's not. There's all of these factors, and I think the criminals behind this, I think they play the long game and really learn the targets and what will make them most vulnerable and most likely to give up what the information or the funds that they're seeking. So it's becoming much more sophisticated and much more challenging to be able to spot this.
Very much so. Can technology help detect or prevent AI-driven fraud, though, if you're fighting fire with fire? And we have touched on this before. Has the Noosa Council turned around and said, we're going to come up with some sort of action?
Well, I think they might now. I mean, yes, I'm sure. And I know other organisations are using AI in that way. So using AI to fight the AI. But in this case, I don't think they were expecting it. And I think they will definitely be training their staff and looking at more mitigation factors and methods to make sure this doesn't happen again.
Very much so. Do you think public sector needs more cybersecurity training and awareness outside of that beautiful little part of the world?
Oh, absolutely. I think we all do. Because it won't be long before, with AI, it's not only becoming more sophisticated, it's just really ramping up in terms of its reach. So I think we all need continual cybersecurity education and AI literacy training to make sure that we're not victims of this sort of thing as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, let's move on to our next topic now, and it keeps with the theme. California has made history by becoming the first US state to regulate AI companion chatbots, introducing landmark legislation designed to protect minors and improve transparency in artificial intelligence interactions. Dr. Karen Sutherland, this is an interesting one. What makes this new California bill such a landmark decision, do you think?
Well, it just hasn't happened before, and I think it's a good step considering what's happened and the tragedies that have happened from younger people, and it's happened to adults as well, using AI as sort of their counselors and their confidants, and then the AI sort of turning around if it can and encouraging self-harm and in some cases suicide, which is just a tragic way. The AI developers never expected AI to be used in this way, but we need to do something to make sure this doesn't happen again as
Mm.
well. So I think it's important, and I think hopefully this law will be rolled out, and I'm not sure how it's going to be enforced or anything like that, but we need to have some guardrails in place.
Yeah, I can foresee this becoming an interesting sort of flow-on effect. Once you put one of these bills in place, other people will be watching closely to see if it worked, how well it worked, and whether they should be doing the same. How do you think these rules can change how companies design or operate these chatbots? I'm sure OpenAI's turned around and actually gone, okay, we're going to remove these phrases here, get rid of this, why is it telling children this, etc., etc.
Yeah, and I think this law is making it so there are age restrictions on AI tools. It's also requiring AI platforms to ensure that sort of people are reminded when they're using AI that the content that's coming out is actually artificially generated, it's not real, and that any sort of talk or conversations around self-harm or suicide are flagged really quickly, and the conversations cease, because it's just this ongoing conversation, I think, that over time really had a really negative impact on some of its users.
Yeah, absolutely. Do you reckon similar laws could appear in other countries, including right here in Australia? We saw the social media ban starting to roll out as well.
Social media and AI really do work hand in hand. Meta, for example, has its own AI. So I think, yeah, it won't be long before that happens. But again, how it's all going to work, in particular with the social media ban here in Australia, it's still really hard to tell. There was an opportunity for the major platforms to explain that today, and none of them showed up. We're still left with lots of questions.
I'm wondering what responsibilities AI developers have when their technology is in fact used by minors. Of course, they are going to use it. And as you've said, social media sits side by side with AI, but it's far more of an adult platform in many ways, or at least a business
Oh,
one.
I completely agree. And it depends on the conversation. So I guess maybe having those age restrictions, if you can, even that's really hard to enforce. But then having guardrails around what conversations can actually happen is really important too. But then you have again that conflict between the development. You don't want rules to hamper the development of AI, but then you also want it to be responsible and ethical and safe to use as well.
Yeah. How could parents, though, or even educators better protect young people, do you think, from potential chatbot harm? I feel like when I was using chatbots as a kid, it was always just a giggle and seeing if it said hello back, but that was the 90s.
Yeah, that's right. We have to educate. We have to do that AI literacy training, letting people know and letting everyone know, plus younger people, that this isn't real. Like, this isn't a real person. It's actually a mirror. It's just giving you back conversation because you're giving it to it. So I think those reminders, and then having the chatbots themselves guide people to support services, I think is really important too.
Yeah, 100%. Well, it'll be interesting to see, as usual, how all of this plays out. I'm wondering if the legislation is going to set that precedent for broader AI regulation, perhaps on a worldwide level. But there's a lot of deals still to be signed and sealed and delivered in the space. But we'll no doubt be keeping an eye.